Hello. I'm Rahma. I'm Tunisian. I'm an architect. I am right now working in Tunisia. I've basically spent half of my life in Saudi Arabia, half of my life in Tunisia. So I know different contexts, let's say.
Rahma, it's very interesting that you lived much of your life in Saudi Arabia, but you're Tunisian. A lot of Americans seem to paint the whole Middle East, North Africa with the same brush and don't think there's much of a difference. Can you share a little bit of how life is different, particularly for a Tunisian woman, than it would be for a woman living in Saudi Arabia?
Well, it's definitely very, very, very different because North Africa, although we all have the Arab culture, we have very different mentalities. The Saudi Arabia has a very different mentality from the Tunisian one, and even between neighboring countries, you will find different mentalities between Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. Even though we have a similar history, similar influences, the fact of being close to Europe, it gives us an open-mindedness and a different mentality from the other surrounding countries, let's say. But for me as a woman, it's absolutely different. Being in Tunisia, growing up in Tunisia and growing up in Saudi Arabia has been very, very different. It's different challenges, and each country has its pros and its cons, but being a young professional, I'm very happy to be in Tunisia and to grow in Tunisia, because definitely concerning women's rights, concerning education, it's a very different background, and in Tunisia there is room for growth, definitely.
And you've spent the last year working in Luxembourg for the European Investment Bank, and of course in Europe, just like in the United States, people again tend to make generalizations. If you had to share with Americans and your first identity, and if the three choices are I'm Tunisian, or I'm Arab, or I'm Muslim, how would you rank your identity?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question, but I think I do have the answer, because I do recognize myself as a Tunisian first of all, and Tunisian has a lot of meanings. It is Mediterranean, it is Arab culture and Muslim, but it's also very open to the exterior, to the European mentality. And as you can see, I spent my life in Tunisia, but I have a very American accent. You can guess the American influence, the different cultural influence. We cannot be categorized in one box. Being Tunisian is really being open to the world, and I would say I'm a daughter of the world. I do not like to put myself in a certain box, but definitely the Tunisian identity is the strongest identity.
And a last question: you're now back here, and it's after the tragedies of the Bardo attack and the one in Sousse, and both Europeans and Americans have really stayed away from Tunisia and have fears about security. Could you just say, as a Tunisian, as a woman who lives in the urban environment, any advice that you can say about what you feel is the reality of the security situation in Tunisia?
Yes. Well, I would say that these events happen everywhere in the world. I mean, it just happened in France, it just happened in different corners in Europe, and it's not so far from Tunisia. These things happen. And I think the most important is not to be afraid, because after the Bardo attack, I was in Luxembourg, but I came back to Tunis for a certain reason, and I went to the Bardo Museum, and it was very secured. What are the chances that you will find the same event in the same place? And after even this month, I went to the same beach in Sousse, and I was not afraid. I will never be afraid of my country. I don't think the Tunisian people are capable of living in a insecure or unsafe environment. The Tunisian people want to eat well, live well, have a lot of fun, go to the beach, and they are not ready for I don't like to say terror, let's say terror. So I would say do not be afraid. Come visit Tunisia. It's a very beautiful country with beautiful people. You have a lot of culture, especially culture and history, and good food. good beaches as well.
Well, Rahma, you really have painted a great picture. Thank you for taking the time to share with us your thoughts and your ideas.
Thank you very much.